Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Have a Good One. At this point, you probably know that Samuel and know nothing else about me. So, I'm going to do something a little bit different for this episode. So, during the week, I found... So, here's the thing, actually. First off, I'm recording this, immediately after recording part 1 of my history of Captain America. And I just decided to crank out 2-episode recordings in one go because why not? They won't be released at the same time, but hey, it's good to be prepared. Anyway, I found this article on GamesRant, which I've never done this before, but I'm basically gonna go through this article and pick it apart because there's a lot of stuff in this thing that I don't agree with. So the title of this article is 10 video game protagonists who are really the villain. And the first picture we have here is a picture of Kratos as the thumbnail. So this is going to be a bit interesting. So as far as we know, so basically what the premise of this article is that these are going to be 10 video game characters who are actually just villains in disguise that we never knew about. Now the idea here, I guess, is that it's heroes who have been regarded as being just pure heroes, but people have looked back and it's like, no, these guys are actually villainous, they're villains. And now I'm gonna give a bit of a spoiler here. I actually have read through this entire article before, but I'm gonna go through it again and tell you what I think about every entry. We'll see how well this goes. We'll see how well received it is, how much you guys like it. But let's see here. Okay, so first of all, it says here, every successful video game needs a strong protagonist who makes impactful changes. Yes, that is fair. Sometimes they fight for good, but often protagonists in video games are misrepresented based on their actions. Misrepresented based on their actions. I mean, I guess as far as their intentions? Okay. Taking a more in-depth look at these characters, we notice some unsettling things that question their morality. Okay, so I guess we're gonna... That's where we're gonna be going with this. They are some of the most recognizable figures in video games, yet they might not be so worthy of praise. On the contrary, they're deserving of condemnation for the atrocities they commit. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is getting intense. By the end of this listicle... What the heck does that word mean? It'll be clear why these protagonists are actually the villain. Alright, well, this will be interesting. Also, a related article, The Last of Us, 10 Reasons Why Joel Was the True Villain. Oh, if that article references anything about part 2, I feel like I might have another idea for an episode right off the bat. Okay, so with all of the intros out of the way, let's get right into it. Number 10, Mario, and immediately I get flashbacks to that game theory episode or episodes talking about how Mario's actually like a psychopathic villain. So let's see what he has to say about this. Alright. As one of video games' most famous protagonists, it may come as a surprise to hear that Mario is ill-intentioned. Okay, so that's a very important thing. Ill-intentioned. So we're going way past the point of like anti-hero where it's like they do bad things for good reasons. We're saying here that Mario has evil intentions. Like, he is intending to do bad. Okay, alright, let's see what the reasoning here is. Mario wreaks havoc on the Mushroom Kingdom merely so he can save some chick. I mean, kind of undervaluing this chick in question here. She's not just some chick. She's a princess. She's a monarch. as far as we know, considering the fact that there is no, like, king or queen of the Mushroom Kingdom most of the time, she's the one that's actually ruling the Mushroom Kingdom. Which does bring up the question of, like, if she is the one that's actually ruling the entire kingdom, she should be a queen, not a princess. But whatever. Point is, she is a very high-ranking monarch. Alright? Now, one thing you may know, princesses and princes do carry a lot of political power. Usually for princesses, it's in the form of marrying into, like, another powerful family. So princesses do have a lot of political power, and if one of them was getting kidnapped, that's going to be pretty important. Because it means that like, kidnapper has, like, a claim to the throne themselves, which can be bad if you don't want that person to have a stake, have a claim. When it's Princess Peach, who, as far as we're concerned, is the queen, that's a pretty important person. She's definitely far from being just some chick. Anyway, he slays enemies based on turtles, mushrooms, and flowers, all for self-gain. I'm sorry, self-gain? How can you say that it's self-gain? You just said that he is doing it to save some chick. Which, like, even if you're undervaluing it, like, you can't really say that it's for self-gain. Especially considering that Mario doesn't really get anything out of rescuing the princess. Like, the most he ever gets is a kiss on the cheek and a cake. That's all he ever gets for this stuff. So how can you say that he's doing this for self-gain? Mario decides to fight fire with fire, which makes him no better than the individuals he tries to stop. Hold up, okay, first of all, the whole point about, like, slaying enemies based on turtles, mushrooms, and flowers, for the record, I know this was actually something that was brought up in game theory. It's like, oh, he's killing all of these innocent turtles, and it's like, no. They aren't innocent, alright? They will kill him. Like, they're trying to kill him. My reasoning being that, they're trying to, like, if you do nothing about it, they will kill you. So it kind of leads to the idea that, you know, they are trying to kill him. So they're not innocent. They're definitely not innocent, that's for certain. And the claim that he's no better than the individuals he tries to stop, I'm sorry, but, like, between the two sides of, like, Bowser and Mario, I feel as though the guy who isn't trying to kidnap a princess is probably the good guy, you know? Like, on one side, you've got someone who's trying to kidnap a princess, and the other side is trying to save that princess. I feel like it's pretty clear-cut who the good guy in this situation is. Does a character who throws fireballs and collects money while pouncing on enemies sound like a good guy? Well, I mean, if they're doing it for good reasons, then yeah. Like, here's the thing, alright? You could definitely make the argument that what Mario does isn't actually... it isn't necessarily, like, good, because it's like he is killing. But to say that he is ill-intentioned is quite... You need to back up that claim quite a bit. And these guys have not... That's the end of the Mario part. So, in conclusion, this was a terrible first start. Like, I mean... Oh my gosh. They completely They make the... incredibly... Okay, you know what? First things first. Logan Sawyer. Okay, I'm gonna assume that that's a dude. So, this guy, he has gone ahead, made an incredibly bold claim that Mario's ill-intentioned, and then goes ahead and undervalues what he's actually doing, trying to claim that it's out of self-gain, and then despite the fact that you start off by saying that he's ill-intentioned, you don't really go that far into his intentions. The intention bit is completely wrong. It's a complete misrepresentation. And then he goes ahead and makes the rhetorical question that only draws attention to what Mario actually does, rather than why he actually does it. There's quite the difference there. So anyway, in conclusion, I'm not convinced. Number 9, Kratos. Okay, this one, he might actually have a point, because, not gonna lie to you guys, for those of you who aren't aware of the God of War franchise at this point in time, you have the original trilogy, which was on the, like, PS2, PS3, that kind of stuff, which looks at Kratos in Greek mythology. The most recent game that's come out, which is just called God of War, is Norse mythology. Put it this way, Greek Kratos has a goatee, Norse Kratos has a beard. Now, here's the thing. I actually hated the original God of War franchise, the original trilogy, because I hate Kratos as a character in that series. Like, I despise his character in that game. Like, ugh. Put it this way, it's like, this is a character who nobody outside of a mental asylum can relate to. He is completely unsympathetic, even though they try to make him that. And he's so incredibly violent and hypocritical that you don't even want to be him. Now, the Norse Kratos is a much better character. Mostly because he actually is the victim in a lot of these situations. Like, he actually was just minding his own business before the gods attacked him, as opposed to the Greek Kratos who, like, he invokes the gods and then just keeps, like, deliberately doing stuff against their name. So, this guy might actually have a claim when it comes to Kratos. So, he is the protagonist of God of War, but many people should realize by now that he's not a conventional video game hero. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously. He is neither the god of tranquility nor the god of reason, but rather the god of war. Okay, alright, yeah, good so far. Someone who promotes violence and vows to get revenge on his father is actually the villain. Okay, alright, first paragraph out of 2, is looking pretty good, In the latest God of War, Kratos embarks on an adventure to throw his late wife's ashes off a cliff. Okay, yeah. Instead of focusing on the task, he teaches his son how to grow up by taking him hunting. I mean, yeah, that's fair. I reckon that's fair for Kratos to do. He can kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that. Unsurprisingly, they senselessly kill an innocent deer. Oh. Kratos is pure evil and there's no way to convince otherwise. The end. So, the reason that they use... Far out. You had an entire trilogy of games to draw upon for, like, evil acts that he has done. And he's done a lot of evil acts. Like, he's gone ahead, given people false senses of security by thinking that he's gonna save them, and then he just kills them. He has killed people completely unprovoked. He's killed his friends, he's killed his family members. He once destroyed the entire city of Athens because he was bored, and then somehow wanted to paint it as though he's the victim in all of this. And yet, the one example that you use is that he kills a deer. Okay, so here's the thing, alright? He's teaching his son how to hunt, alright? Right? He's teaching him how to hunt. You think a good way of teaching somebody how to hunt might be to hunt an animal? Also, consider this, alright? He is a hunter, alright? Which means chances are that he's probably going to eat this animal that he's just killed, right? And I think I think from memory, he does like take the deer back, or was planning on taking the deer back, to cook it in order to or before everything went to shit. Anyway, so yeah, here's the thing. All right, as far as I'm concerned, there are 3 justifiable reasons to kill someone, unless I am forgetting one. Those 3 reasons are self-defense, food, or accident. Now, the food one is a bit of a question mark because I'm not condoning cannibalism when I say this, by the way. But obviously, if you're killing an animal and intending on eating it afterwards, then there's nothing really wrong with it. It's the circle of life. You can't really say that a lion is pure evil for killing the deer or the gazelle. You can't say that the tiger is evil for killing the human. You can't say the leopard is evil for killing the gorilla. But yeah, likewise, you can't really call the hunter evil for killing the animal that he's planning on eating. Obviously, people who hunt for fun is a bit of a different story. But these guys are killing for food, I'm pretty sure. Far as I'm concerned, that is not enough reasoning to say that he's pure evil. Like, far out! There are so many things that you could have done. There are so many examples you could have used for saying that Kratos is the actual villain in the story. I probably would have agreed with you on a lot of them. But the one example that you use is that he kills a deer. And that's apparently meant to prove that he's pure evil? No, it does not prove it. Moving on. Lara Croft, number 8. Okay, so this one's probably going to be a bit more ambiguous, I guess, because I don't actually know that much about the Tomb Raider series. I've never played any of the games. I've never watched any playthrough of the games myself. To be honest, the games have never really interested me that much. But let's see. Let's see what they say. We all want to view Lara Croft as a heroic archaeologist who saves the day at every turn, but she might not be so heroic after all. Is this going to be because she kills people? The number of people she murders in the Tomb Raider series is in the hundreds and maybe thousands. What? Seriously? Thousands? Has she actually killed thousands of people? Holy shit! Alright. Well, I mean, okay, again, it's not so much the action as much as it is the reasoning. Because here's the thing, if she has killed thousands of people, but all of those people were trying to kill her first, then that's actually completely justifiable self-defense. Even if it was thousands. Anyway, she greedily searches for treasure so that she may keep it. Okay. I mean, she is a treasure hunter. That is kind of what she does. I mean, does she actually keep it for herself? I would have thought that it would go into a museum. Lara Croft is a highly trained warrior who needs to be stopped. There's little separating Lara Croft from the bad guys. Well, I mean, okay, here's the thing. Like, the way I'm thinking it, if this is anything like Indiana Jones or Uncharted, where like the villains are like trying to find the treasure for like, and they're gonna try and use it to like take over the world or something like that, then that's kind of a bit of a difference, because then it's kind of the deal of like, you know, the person that's trying to find this treasure and use it to take over the world, and the person who's trying to find this treasure and then just like keep it or sell it or put it in a museum or something like that, you know. But the reasoning behind this seems to be that she greedily searches for treasure, despite the fact that, you know, as a treasure hunter it is her job, and the fact that she kills possibly thousands of people. Which, again, if those people were trying to kill her first, then it's self-defense. So, I'm not sure how justified that was. I'm not sure how believable it is. I'd say it is more believable than the prior two, but I don't think I'm completely convinced with that one. Anyway, number 7, Lee Everett. I'm sorry, what? The villain? I mean, okay, I suppose it does depend on how you actually play him. Like, I mean, I know that you can play it that Lee is like a total douche, like, at every opportunity possible, but somehow I have the feeling that that's not what these guys mean. He's the protagonist of the Walking Dead Telltale video game series, but he's actually a sinful character who seems to have a knack for killing zombies. Okay, that seems to be a little bit indicting right off the fact. It's like, he seems to be very good at killing zombies. Bruh, this is the Walking Dead we're talking about. In the Walking Dead, the zombies are like super slow. Like, you could literally walk faster than them. It's not that hard to kill them, let me just say. You just need a good solid melee weapon, or a gun, and, like, anybody would probably be able to kill, like, at least a dozen or so at once. But anyway, at the beginning of The Walking Dead Season 1, Lee Everett is seen riding in the back of a police car. Yes, so, anyway, Lee murdered a state senator who had committed adultery with his wife. Okay, alright, yeah, no, so he's not a saint. He's not a pure good character, but I don't think anyone was ever saying that he was. However, I know a lot of people might say, if it's not justifiable to do that, it might be understandable why someone would do that. You've just come home, you find your wife sleeping with someone else. Some people might kill that person in the heat of the moment. There have been cases like this that have actually happened. Depending on who you are, it's at the very least understandable why you would do something like that. It's certainly not something to prove you're a villain. He develops an uncanny relationship with a small girl who's definitely not his daughter. Lee Everett's a villain in plain sight. Okay, let me just stop you right there. I see what you're doing. Don't be smearing mud on Lee and Clementine's relationship. They are a surrogate father and daughter, okay? Doesn't matter, but an uncanny relationship is not exactly uncanny, let me tell you. The only reason it's uncanny is because, well, The Last of Us hadn't come out yet. Now it's considered to be perfectly normal to have something like that. We've seen heaps of stories that do a similar thing. Not just Last of Us, but also Logan, which does a similar type of thing. Heaps of stories involve, like, a surrogate father-daughter, or a surrogate mother-son. Admittedly less obvious. Admittedly less common, I should say. But here's the thing, alright? Lee saved Clementine time and time again. Alright? The entire, like, Lee and Clementine's relationship was the core of Walking Dead Season 1. If Lee hadn't encountered Clementine, she probably would have died in a treehouse, alright? Don't be trying to claim that there's something, like, evil going on there. Saying that he's a villain. Saying that he's a villain because he did something that isn't good and he admits to it. And I don't think anyone would actually say what he did was good, but, like, at the very worst, understandable. And for the record, Lee and Clementine's relationship is completely wholesome. It is purely wholesome. There's nothing going on behind the curtain, alright? Don't be going about painting that. I am 100% not convinced with this one. Like, far out. They're trying to say that him developing a relationship with Clementine is evidence of him being a villain. Get out of here with that. It proves absolutely nothing villainous whatsoever. So, in conclusion, the only two things, the only two arguments to be made about Lee being a villain is something that he did before the game's events actually took place, and something that even he admits wasn't a good thing, but like, you know, doing that one thing alone isn't a sign of being a villain, or evil, or even a bad person. And then the second thing is just 100% wrong. Like, at the very best, this is like a gross misinterpretation of the relationship there. At the very worst, wait, no, at the very best, it's a gross misrepresentation. At the very worst, that's just straight up lying. Get out of here with that. Number 6, Nico Bellic. Okay, so this one might actually have more credence to the claim. I mean, Nico Bellic, Grand Theft Auto 4, I think. A game where you rob cars, and that's the main mechanic. I feel like he's probably not the best of people. Anyway, one of Nico Bellic's most famous quotes is, "Life is complicated. I killed people, smuggled people, sold people. Perhaps here things will be different." Okay, so right off the bat, yeah, he definitely has an extremely bad past. Like, he didn't just kill people, he, like, committed human trafficking, which is pretty terrible. Anyway, moments after arriving in the United States, Nico Bellic is back to breaking the law. Yeah, okay, yeah. The quote was good for marketing, but it also highlights how Nico Bellic is far from normal. Yes, that is true. Nico and his cousin Roman are obsessed with money. Okay. As the protagonist in Grand Theft Auto 4, a game about stealing cars, Nico Bellic is actually the villain. Okay, yeah. I kind of get that. I kind of always imagined that Nico Bellic was kind of a similar type of guy as like, say, Scarface, or what's the guy's name from Godfather? Something Corleone. Hold on a sec. Michael Corleone. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of imagined he was kind of like Michael Corleone or Scarface, where it's like, these guys are criminals. They're villain. Like, these guys are criminals. They're kind of more like the villain protagonist. So, yeah, like, you know what? Like, yeah. I guess this one, I mean, to be honest, I don't think anyone was ever really saying that Nico was a hero. Unless, like, something happens in the game that I don't know because I've never played the game. Where it's like, it shows that he's kind of good. But, like, I feel like in general, Nico was never supposed to be considered to be a traditional hero or a good guy. I think he was always meant to be considered to be a villain protagonist. So, I mean, I guess in a way this isn't exactly news, but you know what? This is the first one that I actually probably would agree with. And we have 6 to go, I think. Number 5, Shadow the Hedgehog. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Shadow originally the villain to begin with? Anyway, Shadow the Hedgehog is a recurring character in the Sonic the Hedgehog series, appearing in a standalone title named Shadow the Hedgehog. Alright? Shadow the Hedgehog is a protagonist who can also be depicted as the villain, okay? Does someone who wields a gun sound like a compassionate protagonist of the Sonic series? So the first thing that you decide to use as evidence that he is a villain is that he uses a gun. Okay. Shadow the Hedgehog visits locations like Prison Island and shoots enemies. Naturally, the game was criticized for its usage of guns, which is unlike other Sonic series. Okay, so I was thinking, you know, if they go with like Shadow the Hedgehog, I'm pretty sure there's like there are two endings to that game. One is like the good ending, one's the bad ending. In the bad ending, Shadow ends up helping these aliens take over the world, I think it is. So in that one, he would absolutely be a villain. And yet, the argument that you use is that he uses guns and he shoots people. So, I feel as though I figured out the problem with this article. They're placing way too much, they're paying too much attention to what the character actually does and completely ignoring why they do it. Because again, if you kill someone out of self-defense, that's not exactly as bad as killing someone because they have a weird name, which I think somebody has done in a story of some kind. I don't know who though. Yeah, look, you're gonna need to do better than that. I could have agreed with this one. Again, I could have agreed with this one, but you use the argument that he has guns and he shoots people, and that's it. That's all you got. Nah, not convinced. Moving on. Number 4, Donkey Kong. Okay, so originally Donkey Kong actually was the villain of the game, so I wonder what they're gonna do about that. Donkey Kong is one of Nintendo's most recognizable characters, lest we forget that he was once the villain in Nintendo. Okay, so they did actually acknowledge it. Before there was Bowser, Mario attempted to save Princess Peach from the giant ape Donkey Kong. Well, actually, apparently in that game it was a different woman called Pauline. Anyway, over the years, Donkey Kong has switched roles from the antagonist to a protagonist. However, he still is a wild ape who attacks almost anything and throws grenades that look like oranges. Well, I mean, in the Donkey Kong Country series, I'm pretty sure it's usually like somebody is trying to invade Donkey Kong Country and he's like working to stop it. Oh well. Donkey Kong has turned into a good guy recently, but we can't forget his sketchy past. So just because he's done bad things in the past means that he is always going to be the villain? If you're talking about Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong, then yes, he is the villain of the story, but he's not the protagonist. In the Donkey Kong Country series, he's the protagonist, but he's definitely not the villain, because he doesn't do anything bad in those games. Just because he's done bad things in the past doesn't mean that he is still a villain, alright? You do realize that just because nobody has a perfect history. Nobody is a total saint. Every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. Just because you've done bad things in the past doesn't mean that you're beyond redemption. What this person is saying here is that if you have done anything bad in the past, it means that you are completely beyond redemption and should always be remembered as a villain. That is terrible. I do not condone that in the slightest. Number 3, Batman. Whoa! Batman? Really? Really, that's your decision? One of the most... Well, actually, no, the most popular superhero in history. You're gonna say that he's the villain. Okay. I mean, I get some people say he's the anti-hero because sometimes he does go too far. But he does always have that rule of never killing anyone. So let's see what he says. For those familiar with his comic books, some know that Batman's not the conventional hero. Okay? In the comic books, he kills numerous people, and things haven't changed in Batman video games. What?! Okay, I'm sorry. This dude has... Okay, Batman has a code. A code against killing. Like, he has let villains live time and time again, despite the fact that they always break out and kill more people. Some people are like, you know, maybe after a while, you should just kill him. You should just kill the Joker. Or Mr. Zass, or like, you know, someone like that. Or at the very least, not save him. But he doesn't, because he still has that code. You can't just say that he kills numerous people. Like, you can't just say that. You can't just say that. You need to actually back that up. Like, I'm sure in Batman's history, he probably has killed somebody. Probably unintentionally, though. You can't just say he kills numerous people as though that's the norm, or as though he intends to do that. Nah. Oh my gosh. In the Arkham series, he preys on the weak-minded and mentally ill. Yeah, the weak-minded and mentally ill who usually are also criminally insane and try to kill, like, hundreds of people. Somehow I feel as though he's not actually that bad if he's trying to stop that from happening. Nah. Preys on the weak-minded and mentally ill. Don't be trying to play that manipulation there. Weak-minded and mentally ill, he's trying to stop people from killing others. That's what he's trying to do. The fact that they just so happen to be mentally ill is kind of more of an indictment on the mentally ill rather than Batman himself. Batman takes the law into his own hands as a vigilante despite few people asking for his help. Well, I mean, hey, they're not asking for his help because Batman has said that, you know, they wouldn't need to and that. Plenty of people have been asking for Batman's help. Plenty of people say that what Batman's doing is actually good. There are obviously people who don't like what he's doing because he's a vigilante. So there's that. Commissioner Gordon and Batman are both outliers in the justice system. Yeah, that is true. Actually, a lot of Batman comics have kind of posed that question, like, how good is a vigilante like Batman? Batman needs to go home and let law enforcement worry about Arkham Asylum's mentally insane, and what if they can't? Like, that's the thing. Like, say what you will about whether being a vigilante is good or not, but time and time again, Batman has managed to stop people like the Joker from, you know, from killing people. If he just let the police get involved, the Joker would probably just kill more people. At least with Batman, he's able to keep casualties to a minimum. So there is that. So basically what you're saying is he kills numerous people. You're going to have to back that up a little bit better. He preys on the mentally ill. Only the mentally ill who are trying to kill people, by the way. Just so you know. He doesn't prey on the mentally ill who aren't trying to kill people. Let me just say that. And then he is a vigilante. So, and that's apparently meant to convince me that he's the villain? No, it doesn't. Like, the vigilante thing, like, that's something, but, like, you can't just be like, but, like, yeah. You really can't just be like, oh yeah, he's the villain because of that. That's the thing. You're trying to convince me that he is the villain, and as far as I'm concerned, the villain is probably the guy who is trying to hunt as many people as possible. And the hero is probably the guy who's trying to stop that from happening. Just saying. Anyway, number 2, Nathan Drake. Okay, so this one's actually been done quite a bit. Like Lara Croft, Nathan Drake is like an anti-hero who we see as the good guy. Okay. Nathan Drake is a thief and a murderer. Okay. And he exacts vengeance on those who betray him. Like who? He may have a likable personality and amiable quirks, but he's little more than a common thief. Like who? Who has he exacted vengeance on who have betrayed him? Usually it's happened because, like, you know, he's trying to, like, stop them from doing evil things. He slays countless people throughout the Uncharted series to find treasure. Yeah, and those people are trying to kill him as well, so, you know, there's that. Yeah. This reminds us of Abbas Mal from Aladdin, only Abbas Mal is portrayed as a villain. Goes to show that the protagonists of a game franchises aren't always righteous. So he's a thief. Okay, he is a thief. Means he's not a saint. Wouldn't say he's a villain though. And a murderer. I mean, he's killed people, but I would say most of them have been out of self-defense. And that's actually all they have for that. He's a thief and he kills people. Again, he's usually fighting to stop people from using the treasure for evil. Like, you remember the Chintamani stone? The main villain of that one, Lazarevich, I think his name was going to use that to basically become super strong and take over the world. Far as I'm concerned, the hero is probably the guy who's trying to stop that from happening. That's the thing. Drake is always fighting in order to stop people from basically taking over the world with those treasures. Far as I'm concerned, that makes him the hero, not the villain. Just because he kills people and steals things does not a villain make. Anyway, number 1. Arthur Morgan. Oh boy. Arthur Morgan's yet another Rockstar Games protagonist who is a protagonist and a villain. Okay, so right off the bat, he does not have a perfect past. He has done some very bad things, alright? But he has never enjoyed doing any of those things. He redeems himself at the end. And ultimately, I would say that he is a good person at heart. Obviously, it kind of depends on how you play him. I'm just going by, like, high honor. He's one of the most well-respected members of the Vanderlyn gang. The atrocities Arthur Morgan commits throughout Red Dead Redemption 2 are reprehensible. I mean, okay, as far as atrocities go, it basically just involves, like, shaking people down for money and killing people. That's kind of it. Robbing trains, banks, oh yeah, and robbing people. But in my playthrough, he also would always give generously to the poor. He would help whenever needed. And he would only rob banks when the story demanded it. He would do anything... He would do whatever it takes to become as rich as possible. No, he will not. His intention is not to get rich, alright? You can say that that's like Dutch's motivation or Micah's, but it's not Arthur's. Arthur's motivation has only ever been to keep the gang and the people in the gang safe and happy. That is all he cares about. He doesn't care about getting rich himself. He's never cared about that. He's cared about the gang. And that's the thing. That's why he's always been like an anti-hero. He has done bad things for good reasons. He's doing it in order to support his family, basically. In the span of one video game, we saw him release someone from prison. Okay. Trespass. Okay. Rob people's homes. Oh yeah. Shoot innocent people. Far as I remember, he's never actually shot innocent people. Unless you did that, but then that would mean you're evil, not him. But I know that there's no actual part in the game that forces you to shoot an innocent person. It's always other people who do that. And Arthur's kind of always like, yo, that was kind of taking it a bit far. Like, you remember that scene in Guama, where Dutch like strangles a woman to death just for asking for payment, and Arthur's like, yo, that was taking it too far. And run from the law. I mean, he is an outlaw. We can't help but admire Arthur Morgan's wild ways, but regardless, he's one of video games' most evil villains. Okay, he's not a villain, alright? Just because he robs and kills. He's doing it for noble reasons. He's doing it for rather selfless reasons. He's not inherently a selfish person. And as the game goes on, he redeems himself. He does good things. He stops shaking people down for money. He tries to help people out as best he can. He doesn't ask for repayment or thanks or anything like that. But he does it anyway. Like, he's not expecting rewards out of this stuff, but he does it anyway. In a way to kind of condone for his sins. He's far from the most evil video game villain because he's never enjoyed doing any evil things. He's never done that stuff for selfish reasons. You can say that he's a morally grey character, but to say that he's a straight villain is looking at it way too black and white. He's morally grey, and that's partly why he's one of the best video game protagonists out there. He is far from evil, and he's far from the villain. Like I said before, every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. And Arthur Morgan is a terrific example of that. So anyway, that was the entire thing. That was all 10 of the video game characters, all the protagonists that are supposedly evil. I think I only actually agreed with... I think I was only actually convinced by like 2, maybe 1.5 of them. Yeah, overall, very bad takes. Very bad takes all around. Yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Bit of a different episode from what I'm used to. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you... by the way, I mean no ill will to this Logan guy. I am fully prepared to believe that it was all just, like, bad takes. Or maybe it was just, like, you know, just for the drama and that. Which, in that case, you definitely succeeded in that. No hard feelings towards you, Logan. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I'm not sure exactly when I'll be releasing this video. It depends on when I can finish editing the Captain America stuff, but until next time, see you guys in the next, I almost said video, the next episode. I hope you guys are taking lockdown better, if you're still in lockdown. And yeah, anyway, take it easy, guys. Stay safe. Have a good one.